What is up, Budget Billers? Yes, actually, new stimulus checks for a few states are being offered and introduced. We have one that's calling for $200 stimulus checks. Then we have one that's calling for $400 stimulus checks. And the other one is $452 stimulus checks. Now, we also have some good news regarding those who have student loans and hoping that the government wipes away $50,000 in student loan debt. Well, they're not trying to wipe away $50,000, but one state wants to wipe away about $800 million over the next 10 years. And I'm going to tell you exactly who that is. Also, we have some lawmakers that are calling on lawmakers to remove about 8 million student loan borrowers who haven't been able to pay on their loans over the past 5 years. And lastly, guys, hey, the petitions to get another stimulus check to be included in the social spending bill are still getting more signatures. Congress is going to be unable to ignore the mass amount of individuals as well as lawmakers and everyone else that is suggesting that one more round of stimulus checks to be offered to the American people. It just seems impossible for them to ignore, guys. But hey, guys, we're going to be talking about it today as well as some daily news stories that's going around the world right now. But if you want to stay up to date with all the stimulus news as well as daily hot topics, be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys. Hey, it's totally free. And if you end up liking this video, then be sure to like this video. It really helps out the channel. But now let's go ahead and jump right back into this video. Senator Joe Manchin is calling on President Biden to restore the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, the centrist Joe Manchin is calling on President Biden to restore the Keystone XL pipeline as gas prices across the country continue to rise. He said, I continue to call on President Biden to responsibly increase energy production here at home and to reverse course to allow the Keystone XL pipeline to be built, which would have provided our country with up to 900,000 barrels of oil per day from Canada, one of our closest allies. And he said, now to be clear, this is about American energy independence and the fact that hardworking Americans should not depend on foreign actors like OPEC Plus for our energy security and instead to focus on the real challenges facing our country's future. He added, referring to the group of major oil producing countries. Now, Manchin calls for action came shortly after President Biden administration announced a plan on Tuesday to release 50 million barrels of oil from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve in order to curb the rising gas prices. Now, in February, Manchin reportedly sided with Republicans who urged Biden to rethink canceling a permit for the pipeline, arguing that pipelines across the country continue to be the safest mode to transport our oil and natural gas resources, and they support thousands of high-paying American union jobs. Now, Manchin also addressed the issue of inflation in this country, which mentioning his beliefs that the Democrats' Build Back Better Act, which was recently passed by the House and will be taken up in the Senate here shortly, would not help lower gas prices. Now, he said that the cost that they see every day, and every day they go to fill it up, is $1.25 more per gallon. He said of rising gas prices at the time, which right now they're saying that the average price is around $3.39, and that is an average cost. But I told you guys on the previous video that we saw a state like California has finally reached above $6 per gallon. So yes, guys, the Biden administration is offering or pushing to have 50 million barrels of oil to be released into the economy so that hopefully these gas prices will finally come down. But Senator Joe Manchin is calling for this push to have that XL pipeline to actually be started once again, because that's going to provide some additional amount of barrels of oil to be released in this country. And that way the gas prices should eventually come back down again. But on to some better news, guys, and regarding student loan borrowers. Yes, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are now requesting 8 million student loan borrowers to be moved out of default. Now, Senator Elizabeth Warren has led an effort asking for the Department of Education to move student loan borrowers out of default status before payments begin sometime in February. Now, they are saying that over 8 million people are currently in default on their student loans, according to Warren's letter that was addressed to the Education Secretary Miguel Cardonas. And over 93% of people who were in default before the pandemic even started or have been unable to pay for their debt. Now, Warren writes that the agency has an opportunity to relieve a huge huge burden for student loan borrowers and potentially help the economy at large. Now, as the department works to correct the past failures of student loan program, it also has the opportunity to relieve a significant burden on borrowers by developing a policy to forgive debts for borrowers who have been in default for an extended period of time. Now, she's saying that allowing payments and collections to resume without taking these actions to protect borrowers in default would undermine our economic recovery. Now, this letter that they wrote to the Education Department, it was signed by 8 of Warren's Democratic colleagues, including Senators Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey. Now, when student loan payments restart in February, millions of borrowers will already be behind on payments. And on top of other financial stresses, these borrowers will also have to deal with the collection tactics that could lead to wage garnishments or having their child tax credit payments withheld, as the letter points out. Now, this could have an especially outsized effect on low-income borrowers, many of whom have been left behind as the economy recovers from COVID impacts. Now, these particular senators also urged the Education Department to create a program that would automatically forgive the loans of people who have been in default for an extended period of time. Now, they cite that the statute of limitations on other types of debts, like medical debt, which can range from either 3 to 10 years, depending on the state that they live in. Many borrowers who are in default on their loans remain so long-term. One 2018 study by the American Enterprise Institute found that about 30% of people in default remain in default for over 5 years, and the attempts to collect this debt are often unsuccessful and not a cost-effective use of taxpayer dollars. But implementing default and loan forgiveness would have an enormous impact on borrowers who may be struggling to find housing, employment, or new educational opportunities, the lawmakers emphasize in this letter. The removal of borrowers' records of default will improve borrowers' credit scores and, in turn, their economic well-being. But Warren and Democratic and progressive allies have been urging the Biden administration to cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt throughout Joe Biden's first year in office, saying that he has a broad authority to actually do so. But Biden said on the campaign trail that he would not cancel $50,000, that he would only be able to cancel $10,000 of debt for student loan borrowers. But he hasn't done anything as of yet. In fact, his administration has instead been hiding a student loan forgiveness memo prepared by the Education Department earlier this year for months now. So yes, guys, as the country rebounds and recovers right now, these payments are expected to restart come February. And Warren wants to make sure these particular things are implemented into their programs so that student loan borrowers won't be more affected by these changes and these payments being restarted in February. But she is not the only one right now trying to help student loan borrowers. Ohio State wants to wipe out its student loan debt and just launched an $800 million program to do it within 10 years. Now, graduating from college in the U.S. without student loan debt is a luxury that many literally cannot afford. But for students at one of the largest public state schools in the country, it could soon be a reality. Now, the Ohio State University, or OSU, last week launched a 10-year plan to raise about $800 million to get rid of student loans from all undergraduate financial aid packages. Now, the plan, dubbed as Scarlet and Gray Advantage, will be open to all undergraduate students once formally launched. Now, it will provide a mix of scholarships and grants, along with paid work opportunities on campus to ensure that all who partake graduate debt-free. Now, these efforts will be kicked off in the fall of 2022 with a pilot program of 125 low and middle income students to develop strategies and to identify opportunities to make the program operate at its fullest capacity. And they are saying that it's not free college, guys. It's not free tuition. Christina Johnson, which is the president of Ohio State, she said that we can take one of the largest universities in the country and develop pathways for our students so that they can graduate debt-free. So yeah, guys, these are some great opportunities right now for them to help student loan borrowers as well as future students that are planning on participating and going to the Ohio State University. Now, she is saying that they want people to follow their passions, whatever they really are interested in, because we know that when they do, they're going to be more successful as well as satisfied, happy, and fulfilled. So yeah, guys, if you're planning on attending Ohio State, or this might be an opportunity for you to choose Ohio State, and hopefully that you can participate in this program if you fit the category of being low income or middle class income. But anyways, guys, hey, it's time to talk about some stimulus update news. And right now, we have some Republicans in Illinois that have just proposed some new stimulus checks. Republicans in Illinois' House of Representatives announced a plan on Wednesday for a new round of stimulus checks to Illinois residents. Now, this proposal is an attempt to curb impending inflation rates by helping with the cost of living. Now, as a result, the checks would be of an amount lower than the federal checks distributed since the pandemic began. Now, the potential plan would send $200 stimulus checks to people making less than $75,000 per year and $400 stimulus checks to joint filers making less than $150,000 per year. Now, they're saying that we hear a lot of stories at this time of the year with inflation about how much the cost of Thanksgiving meals is going to go up or how much Christmas gifts are going to go up as well. But it's so much more than that, guys. It's groceries every single day and the cost of being able to heat your home. But this plan would cost an estimated $1.4 billion, and State Representative Tom Demir said he would want the state to use part of the $8 billion in COVID relief money it received from the American Rescue Plan earlier this year. So yeah, guys, hopefully in Illinois, this proposal will turn into a reality where they are going to be able to offer these $200 stimulus checks to individuals as well as $400 stimulus checks to married people or couples that file jointly. So yes, that is some great news in Illinois right now. But they are not the only ones, guys, because we do have another program that is offering about $1.4 million in financial assistance funds for New Mexico low-income households, which is going to affect about 3,286 households, and they are going to be able to receive $452 stimulus checks. So yeah, guys, Santa Fe, New Mexico. This week, more than 3,000 low-income New Mexico households will receive a one-time payment of $452 in emergency financial assistance under an initiative administered by the New Mexico Human Services Department in partnership with the Taxation and Revenue Department, which is the Tax and Revenue. Now, the funding for this effort was made possible through an initial $5 million appropriation from the New Mexico legislature. Now, this one-time payment is for low-income state residents who did not receive the federal pandemic stimulus payments. An initial round of payments was issued earlier this year in July of 2021. Now, they're saying that we are grateful to the New Mexico legislature for the opportunity and funding to provide more cash assistance to needy New Mexico families, said the Human Services Secretary David Scars. We know that many families are still struggling to meet their basic needs, and this cash assistance will help them this holiday season. Now, applications were accepted via online portal for 2 weeks. To qualify for this financial payment, individuals must be residents of New Mexico and are required to have a Social Security number, individual tax identification number, or a driver's license number. Now, this $452 stimulus checks per household assistance was allocated to about 3,286 low-income New Mexicans who did not receive a federal pandemic stimulus payment. Now, payments were issued earlier this week by the Tax and Revenue Department via a direct deposit or an actual stimulus check. Each applicant will receive a text message, an email, or a letter informing them of the final disposition of their application. Now, if the applicant receives notice of approval for payment but does not receive a payment via direct deposit or a check in the mail, please contact the Taxation and Revenue Department at the phone number 866-285-2996. Now, they're saying that we know that families are struggling, so it's nice to be able to help provide some much needed relief in time for the holidays. So yes, guys, people in the state of New Mexico right now have received this week $452 stimulus checks. Now, these are some new stimulus checks that have just been offered this past week. And if you did not receive one of those by direct deposit, you want to make sure that you pay attention to the mail, because if you are accepted and you filled out one of those applications, you could be receiving one of these stimulus checks in the mail. But then, guys, last but not least, hey, we don't want to forget about those petitions that have been being signed over the past few months. And yes, this first one is the one on the change.org website, in which the one person in Colorado was calling for $2,000 per month stimulus checks to be offered to every American in the United States. And they are calling this hashtag money for the people. Now, you guys remember that I talked about this on some previous videos in the past, in which Stephanie of California, she said that she is one of the millions of Americans who fear for her financial future because of the coronavirus crisis. And with businesses and schools closing across the country to control the spread of the virus, many people have already lost their jobs and others are being forced to stay at home. So yes, guys, she said that she is calling on Congress to support families with a $2,000 stimulus check for adults per month and $1,000 stimulus payments for children immediately, and continuing regular checks for the duration of this crisis. She said that laid off workers, furloughed workers, and self-employed and workers dealing with the reduced hours will struggle to pay for their rent as well as put food on the table for their families. And yes, guys, when she put out this initial petition on change.org, she had put a goal to get 3 million signatures to be able to sign this petition. And so far, guys, you can see right here on the screen that she is almost there to her goal. Right now, she is around 2.96 million signatures. So yes, guys, we are hoping that she is able to reach this goal of 3 million signatures before the end of this year, and hopefully before Christmas, because that's when the Senate is planning on having this new social spending bill to be actually passed in the Senate sometime before Christmas, and then to be sent off to the president for his signature. And so we hope to have this meet this goal of 3 million signatures so that hopefully Congress will be able to receive this petition, and hopefully, guys, their negotiations will be able to include a fourth stimulus check, and hopefully either a one-time $2,000 stimulus check, which I don't see that we're going to receive monthly stimulus checks. So hopefully they can at least get one more stimulus check of either $2,000 or either $1,000, or just like the previous stimulus check of $1,400 stimulus checks. But hey, guys, I am not finished, because they are not the only one petitioning for stimulus checks. Don't forget about the Senior Citizens League. They were calling for those stimulus checks to be given to our seniors as well as Social Security recipients. Now, it says right here that as inflation rises rapidly, the Senior Citizens League is calling on Congress to send those on Social Security a fourth stimulus check worth up to $1,400. So yes, guys, the Senior Citizens League, which is a nonpartisan advocacy group, started to pressure on Congress to send those receiving Social Security an additional stimulus check. Now, in the letter to Congress, the chairman, which is Rick Delaney, called for a one-time $1,400 Social Security stimulus payment for our seniors. And you can see right here in this tweet, which came out recently on October the 5th, saying that soaring inflation this year was deeply eroded by the buying power of Social Security benefits, according to a new update to an ongoing inflation study by the Senior Citizens League. Delaney is urging members of Congress to send a special $1,400 stimulus check to those receiving Social Security benefits. Such a measure could help defray the costs associated with some seniors from the 2022 cost of living adjustment, which was the highest in 40 years, pushing them into a higher tax bracket. Now, this letter to Congress began by highlighting that the organization has heard from thousands of seniors who have exhausted their retirement savings and started eating just one meal a day, or cutting their pills in half because they just can't afford their prescription drugs. So yeah, guys, this is another petition that is going on right now that is really pushing for the Social Security recipients as well as our seniors, in which we know those right there are on fixed incomes. So those over other Americans really need help right now because of this inflation, the cost of living, as well as the cost of food and goods and services in this country. So if anything right now, they're the ones that really need this money or this stimulus check more than others. So yeah, guys, right now we are really pushing on Congress to at least include a one-time $1,400 stimulus check to be offered to our seniors as well as our Social Security recipients, as they really need this money right now. Our Social Security recipients and our seniors, they don't really have the opportunity to go out there and work. That's just going to ruin their Social Security benefits. And they are probably over the age right now to be actually going out there and working a job. So we really need to push Congress to offer these additional stimulus checks. But anyways, guys, hey, if you enjoyed this type of content and you want to see more, hey, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And if you like this video, then go ahead and hit that like button for us. It really helps out this channel, as well as it tells YouTube to share this video with others. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.